I think here we go again. So a couple of weeks ago, I made a video where I made a response to his claims, which is the same claims that he made on Piers Morgan. It's just a script that he repeats over and over. So did a lot of Muslims. They did like a video where they replied, they answered this fake arguments, nonsense. But I feel like it doesn't matter if you make responses and you correct those people. They're just going to come back and repeat the same arguments. They're not there to learn or to actually debate anything. They have like already a fallacy. They already have a fake argument. And all they have to do now is just repeat. And since they have a audience behind them that can support them no matter what they say, it really doesn't matter if what they said is true or not. But now this is a new level where you see them spreading this misinformation and lies about the religion of Islam on national television, this is a new step, I guess. That's why you see a lot of Christian YouTube channels that they're going crazy, saying, "Oh, look, Wes is exposing the Islamic dilemma." But it's the same thing. They're just repeating the same thing over and over. Even though we responded to it multiple times, we corrected it. It just doesn't matter. Anyway, let's see what he says.
And then ultimately, as a Christian, the Quran seems to talk about what I believe, talks about the Torah and the gospel multiple times, and seems to fundamentally not understand what the Torah and the gospel are.
The Quran is very clear when it comes to the previous revelations. The Torah is a revelation that is given to Moses, and the Injil, the gospel, is also a revelation that is given to Jesus. In the Bible, there's multiple verses where Jesus himself preaching the gospel, i.e. the good news, right? There's no problem with that. So the Quran, when it's talking about the gospel, it is talking about the same gospel that Jesus was preaching, the gospel.
Verse 47 of chapter 5 of the Quran actually addresses me as a Christian. It says, "Let the people of the gospel judge by what God has revealed therein," being the gospel, "and whoever does not judge by what God has revealed, then it is he who's the defiantly disobedient." And so I find a problem with the Quran in that it confirms the Torah and the gospel, and it tells me as a Christian in chapter 5, verse 46 and 47, to judge by the gospel. However, Pierce, when I judge the Quran by the gospel, I find that the Quran does not understand what the gospel is.
There's two ways we can look at this. Let's say the exegesis of this verse. This verse, it says, let the people of the gospel judge by what they find in the book, right? It's not talking about the Christians today. You are not the people of the gospel. That verse is talking about during the time of Jesus, during the time of the gospel. You don't have the gospel anymore. There is no Injil anymore. Okay? And even if you say, yes, we still have the Injil, okay, no problem. Show it to us. Where is the gospel of Jesus? And then they're going to go back to the Bible and open the Bible and say, oh, look, the gospel of Mark, the gospel of Luke, the gospel of Matthew, John. I'm like, wait a minute, is that the gospel that the Quran is talking about, that God gave to Jesus, that Jesus himself was preaching? And then you go and read any of the gospels, you will read the biography of Jesus. So Jesus went to Galilee and came back to Jerusalem and all that, and you're going to read his actual biography, and you're going to be like, wait a minute, did Jesus preach his own biography to his, is that the good news? No, it makes no sense. That's not it. So no, again, the gospel is the revelation that God gave to Jesus, and Jesus was preaching that good news. Again, it's guidance and it's light, etc., just as the verse says. It is not his own biography. So you don't mix up the whole thing and then get confused and then say, oh, the Quran does not understand what the Injil is. No, it's you who does not understand what the Injil is. Mr. Wes here always get confused and then go on national television and for some reason has to embarrass himself over and over. Again, I guess it doesn't matter how many times you explain the whole thing, and you explain what the Injil is in the Quran, because they don't care. They absolutely don't care. So it's the same script that he shared on his own YouTube channel, right? It's just the same script that he repeats on Piers Morgan's show. But I ask myself again, why did he not mention the verse 48? I guess his favorite verses about this argument is 46 and 47. But then if you read 48, it will clarify the whole thing, and you're not going to be confused anymore. Here's the thing: if he includes verse 48 in this argument, then the whole thing collapses. Because verse 48, it says there is a book that is called El Muhaymin, the Criterion, the supreme authority. Okay, so it asks the prophet to use this supreme authority book, which is the Quran, over all scriptures. So it doesn't matter how you understand the previous verses before this, because now you have something even more superior over any scripture, and the Quran works as a watchtower over all the other scriptures.
It simply does not understand. It simply does not understand. It simply does not understand.
It's you who does not understand what the Injil is.